when we talk about the wise men, we focus on the gifts. You know,
Yeah.
they brought the gold, frankincense, and myrrh, and that's sort of what we look at. But before they actually ever gave the gifts to Jesus, the Bible says that they gave their worship.
Yeah.
Before they gave him the gold, the frankincense, and the myrrh, the Bible says they bowed down and worshipped him. And so I think that's important during this season, in this season of giving to one another, in the season of remembering the birth of Christ. Let's not let this season pass by without giving our worship to Jesus, because that's truly what he is up for.
Welcome.
Well, it's good to be together on the podcast, even though you're leaving me once again.
Yes. I'm going to Seattle.
That's right. Yeah. They have overtaken it. No, just kidding. No, you're going to the States, though.
Yeah, I am. I'm going to LA and home. Hopefully. When is this going to be out?
I think just before Christmas should be.
Oh, perfect. Because I'm surprised my mom. I don't think she listens, but if she does, I just don't
She's a huge listener. That's why we have so many listeners in New York. She's just sharing it with everybody.
It's her YouTube accounts.
Oh, man.
If you listen to the last podcast.
Yeah, which most of you probably didn't.
Yeah.
Because you're all serious. But we had a great time on that episode.
Yes.
And today we're going to be talking about Christmas.
Yes.
I feel like it's a seasonal episode. And what was Christmas like for you growing up?
Christmas was a lot of fun. You know, Christmas in New York is probably, I think it's one of my top places to be in for Christmas.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the tree, Rockefeller
The tree,
Center.
it gets packed. Like I didn't realize actually how packed it is. When you're a kid, you don't really realize that. But now when you get older, you start seeing all the negatives.
Like the protests and stuff?
No.
I think there was protests at the lighting of the tree this year or something.
It's just packed, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You're just,
There's people everywhere.
But
yeah.
it's still one of my favorite places. And I'm really happy I get to go back, see family.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. You're going to bring your mom back to Australia. This will be
Yeah.
her first time coming, right?
First time in Australia.
She was supposed to come for the wedding, but the Australian government.
Yeah,
and
how
COVID
crazy is that?
didn't allow that.
My family wasn't at my wedding. I still don't even think
allowed,
that.
not at, allowed. They weren't allowed to be at your wedding.
Yeah,
That's
that's a
crazy.
good phrase. Okay. But yeah, so Christmas for me was very fun. Really enjoyed it. My mom made sure that, you know, the nativity set was out and the tree was up. But how was yours?
Yeah, well, we had a Midwest Christmas, so similar to yours in that it was cold, and we were able to hopefully get some snow, not as often as we'd like.
And it's super packed, right?
Oh, yeah.
How's
No
it
space.
How's it in Kansas City?
We have space. Big highways, big lanes.
but what was one of your favorite Christmas memories as a kid?
Probably just going to my grandparents' house. And I was telling Steph about this the other day. So I loved going to both grandparents' houses, but on the Hackathorn side, my grandparents had 20-something grandkids.
Oh, man.
And I was one of the younger ones. So we actually were able to play like a full-on football game. We get like 6-on-6.
That's actually so cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And we were hardcore.
Maybe we should try to bring that over here. We just have to
Sure.
have a lot of kids and then they just...
Yeah. So in like 10 years, 15 years maybe.
Yeah, we'll have like a full... my team versus your team. I
I have a feeling your team's going to be a little bit more athletic with the Jamaican background. My team's going to be struggling. Cornbread.
I don't think Reagan's going to want to play. She's going to be like, no.
Yeah, I'm not interested.
Well, speaking about Reagan and your other one, Ava, how's your Christmas now?
Yeah, so that's one of the things that's interesting. We went to the metrics a couple weeks ago and we were talking about how people are listening from all over the world. So people from all over the world celebrate Christmas differently, right? And the interesting thing about Australia is it's a summer Christmas because we're in the southern hemisphere. So it's hot. And, I've been here. This will be my 15th Christmas in Australia. Is this your third?
I haven't had Christmas here. It's too hot.
Oh, yeah, you keep going back to New York. That's right.
No. I'm just saying, like, it's too hot.
You just don't celebrate it? I'm not celebrating. I get presents, but I pretend like it's for something
It's
else.
summer. It doesn't count.
Bro, it's so weird. Yeah.
No, but wow, 15.
15. Yeah. Yeah. So I moved here on Christmas Eve, 2008,
Okay.
with the intention of living in Australia for 1 year, which is why I was so brutal to my family moving on Christmas Eve. And yeah, that was going to be 15 Christmases ago. So 14 years ago. Yeah, I moved here. And because the flights are so expensive, trying to get back to America for Christmas is just not
Yeah.
wise. Like if you're being wise with your money, it's not a wise thing to do. So we tend to shoot for Thanksgiving.
Are you saying
back
me
for
going
that.
back to my family is not wise?
It's just two of you, I guess. And
No. I get it. Yeah, it's, it is. I totally understand. You know,
yeah. Well, I think last time you went for like a month. So
but it wasn't. It was. I think I went during Easter, and Easter's not.
oh,
it's not
okay, yeah,
very
that's not
to
bad at
travel.
all.
Yeah. But
The way I avoid, so like, I know domestic travel in the States is expensive around Thanksgiving,
I
but the
think-
way we avoid it is we leave for America like the week before Thanksgiving, and we
Yeah.
come back the week after. So we avoid all.
I think that's a better time to go because it's not that bad leaving Australia around that time.
Yeah, no, it's very cheap. I mean,
Yeah.
the only challenge we'll have moving forward now is because we got kids in school, so
Yeah.
you have to take them out of school to go on that trip. But the Christmas trip is they're already on holidays.
Think about that, right? Like that's how the holidays have shifted, and that's how
Yeah,
we think about it now.
yeah. So Aussie Christmas, the Aussie Christmas is barbecues, seafood, beach,
Yeah,
hot weather. That's the way they view Christmas. I mean, obviously they try to do the traditional stuff. You got the tree and
you have
the
prawns,
presents.
prawns for days.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really
Heaps
nice.
of seafood, beautiful seafood, especially in Sydney.
Yeah,
And so it took some getting used to. But now that I'm a dad, Christmas has transitioned to something that's for my kids.
yeah,
I love Christmas in that I get to give gifts to my girls, to Ava and Reagan, and they get to enjoy it, and you get to see the joy on their face as they're opening gifts.
yeah. It's like you're able to give back the same feeling you had to your kids.
Yeah, well, if I'm being honest, we got one gift. So my kids are spoiled. I keep trying to convey that to them, but it's not worth trying.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
They have no concept
No.
of having one gift.
Do they have the same amount of gifts? So if Ava gets 5, then Reagan
No,
gets 5.
same amount of money spent on the gifts, and Ava's old enough that she recognizes
Yeah, yeah.
the difference. So if we could buy her an iPad, obviously that's her gift.
That's pretty good.
But yeah, they're pretty good about it. They're not selfish kids at all, but they definitely have more than I had growing up,
Yeah.
for sure. But I mean, that's what you want to do, right?
Yeah,
You don't want
absolutely.
your kids to have less.
You just want to create a better experience as each generation goes on, right?
For sure. And there's this interesting quote of Jesus. It's shared by the Apostle Paul in Acts 20:35. And the reason I mention that is because this quote is not found anywhere else in the Gospels. It's only found here, where Paul references it in conversation. He's talking to a group of people, and he references Jesus saying this. And Jesus said, "It is more blessed to give than to receive."
Wow.
And the quote you probably would have heard is, "It is better to give than receive." People talk to you about that. And Christmas just reminds us of how much better it is to give than to receive. Like what Jesus shared is true. It's not something that's made up. It actually is better to give than to receive.
Yeah.
And there was different studies. I remember when I was putting this together for a message that we shared recently at POCC, and there's different studies that you could look at as to why giving is so good and so on and so forth. But as Christians, I don't think we need to dip into the science. I think we intuitively know that giving is better than receiving.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because like in my mind, I was when you hear giving is better than receiving, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Like there's a sign, but at the end of the day, right? It's just forget the science. I mean, there's science behind it.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
science
yeah.
behind there's science behind everything, but
Yeah, it depends on who's paying for the science.
but it just feels good to
Yeah,
give.
it
right?
does. It
and
does.
and you can, and even like in just practical ways, right? When you want to receive something, the feeling of about to receiving actually feels better than receiving it, right? A lot of times you go and you're like, oh man, I want that, I want that, I want that.
The anticipation.
The anticipation might even be better than receiving.
Mm.
But when you give to someone and you like actually hand it to them, you walk away feeling
Yeah.
good. It's like a lasting feeling,
Yeah.
which is,
And I mean, it's so fun. Like when you have kids who are unpacking and they start playing with it straight away, and you
Yeah.
can see. And it's funny when you're in a family and you're all getting gifts for like, because our family is young, so we've only got a couple grandkids, and so all of us are contributing to these kids' stash of toys, and we're kind of like looking, okay, which one do they like the most? Which one are they drawn to? Which one are they playing with? And I think your wife, she tends to do a pretty good job with the gifts that the kids get.
she's really good at gift giving. I'm learning.
She's teaching you.
Yeah, she's teaching
You're her
me.
patty one.
She's like, I want this. And I go, yeah, okay.
Wow, you're blessed. You're a blessed man, because my wife does not tell me what she wants at all. I have to guess. And you guessed wrong.
15 years.
It's a streak. But the only reason that we actually celebrate this time of year the way that we do, obviously is because of the birth of Christ. And John 3:16 puts it this way: God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have eternal life. And that's one of the most famous passages in all of Christianity. You see it at football games, John 3:16. But God loved the world so much that he gave a gift to the world, and it was his only begotten son. And in Matthew 2, we see the birth of Christ. Wise men traveled from the east to see Jesus, to see the child Jesus, and they brought gifts with them. Most of us would know this story. They brought gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And I forget how old I was when I found out for the first time that we don't actually know whether there were three wise men. Like, the Bible never says that there were three wise men.
Yeah.
I just assumed that there were because of the nativity scene and all that.
Yeah, that's true.
But we portray it as three wise men because of the three gifts, but the Bible just says wise men.
Yeah, that is true. Like, it's funny because when you're growing up, it's like the Mandela effect. It's like,
What's that? What's the Mandela effect?
well, it's like
For those who don't know.
Yeah, so the Mandela effect is like where you thought something was a particular way, and then you look back at it, and it was never that way.
It was never that way.
Right? So I remember growing up, I was always the three wise men.
Yeah.
And, I look back and I'm like, wait, there's no number three. It's just a wise man.
It's just wise men.
I mean, there's three gifts.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean
there was just one person per gift.
Yeah.
It could have been a whole group of them. It could have been two.
Yeah, so my church back in New York, there was three wise men, but there was when we had our nativity scene or our Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas program.
It was actually a group, each thing.
See, they're biblical.
Cool.
Look at these guys.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. And so it was like multiple.
Yeah, there you go.
So there's three, three tribes.
Three groups.
Yeah. One would be, from each area of the world.
Yeah, and it's possible that they could have brought gifts from their native land.
Yeah. And so that was pretty cool. And I think that's when I first actually kind of questioned. That's when I first found out, actually.
That it wasn't three.
It wasn't three.
Or we don't know if it was three. It could have been three. But they brought gifts because he was a king.
Yeah.
So that's what you did. If you were going to visit a king, you brought a gift. That was a way for you to get into the presence of the king. And every child can thank these wise men that they brought gifts to Jesus, because that's why we exchange gifts at Christmas. And every parent can blame them. That's why you have to buy gifts for kids.
I still don't know, and I haven't really looked up, and this might be funny, but I still don't know what even myrrh is.
Oh, so if you're at our small group, we did a 3-part series. We Just chucking them under the bus here. No, we did a 3-part series in the lead up to Christmas. We
Yeah.
actually did.
That's awesome.
And one was, we covered gold, one was frankincense, one
Yeah.
was myrrh. Myrrh is just like sap from a certain tree.
That's awesome.
I forget the exact name of the tree. I probably didn't do enough study for this.
No, it's fine.
but
That's,
yeah, so basically they would cut into the tree and then the sap would come out, harden.
how
and then
cool. Yeah.
They would use that.
And so each gift was given for a particular reason.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And the myrrh often could be valued higher than gold. It would like trade 1 for 1 for gold.
wow,
So it was actually a good gift.
that is a
Yeah.
Snapple fact.
So these guys, these wise men, they're the reason why we give gifts to one another every Christmas. It's
It's
continuing that thing on.
It's not Santa Claus.
No, unfortunately, I'm sorry. If there's any kids listening, any 5-year-olds listening,
Yeah.
if you're 12 and you don't know, your parents did you dirty, so you should know by now. Yeah, unfortunately, it's not Christmas. It's not Santa. So Santa is based off of a real person, Saint Nicholas,
Yeah.
and he would give gifts to the people in his
I think
town.
he was from, like, he's in Europe, right? Wasn't it?
Is it Ireland, maybe?
No, I thought it was Germany.
Is it Germany?
Sounds like a Germany sort of
Nicholas?
thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or maybe even Turkey.
Hey, I fact checked you on the population thing.
Yes, I was wrong.
You were wrong.
Yeah, I looked it up as well. I was like, India, wow.
So check back next episode. We'll fact check
That's
ourselves
insane.
on the Nicholas.
I literally saw that after it just came up, and I was like, "Oh wow, I was wrong." Hopefully, you edit that in the.
We did not edit it.
Oh well,
That's okay. And so, when we talk about the wise men, we focus on the gifts. You know,
Yeah.
they brought the gold, frankincense, and myrrh, and that's sort of what we look at. But before they actually ever gave the gifts to Jesus, the Bible says that they gave their worship.
yeah,
Before they gave him the gold, the frankincense, and the myrrh, the Bible says they bowed down and worshipped him. And so I think that's important during this season, in this season of giving to one another, in this season of remembering the birth of Christ. Let's not let this season pass by without giving our worship to Jesus, because that's truly what he desires. You know, you can bring that gift of gold, frankincense, and myrrh, but what he truly desires is a heart of worship,
right.
a someone who is going to worship him in spirit and in truth.
Yeah, especially with such valuable gifts, right? Which one did they do first, right?
Yeah,
And they worship first.
worship
And
was their
that's-
first gift.
yeah.
It wasn't actually gold, frankincense, and myrrh. So you could even say that they brought 4 gifts.
Yeah, that's why we have to go to church before we open our gifts, right?
We should do that. I can't remember if I made my kids wait last year because we actually had Christmas Day service.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I think I let them open it, but I might be wrong there.
Yeah.
Sometimes some parents will do like the whole Christmas reading. I think we did that one year where we actually read the story of Christmas
cool.
before they open the gifts, and the kids
Yeah.
are just like, just try to tear. You've already slept in.
Then
Come on.
you know you don't sleep the night before Christmas. You actually
Oh,
don't.
no.
The hearts are racing.
Yeah. And your parents just sleep like babies. Because they got the day off work, they're getting their sleep in. Oh, man. But there's this one, I wanted to mention this, that there's this issue that I see within society. And I think it's like the opposite of what we experience during the Christmas season, this season of giving and loving others and showing kindness to one another. But I feel like there's this, and as soon as I say it, everyone will agree, there's this infatuation with self
Yeah.
in our world, in our society. And again, I can't speak for every society. We got people listening all over the world. So let me narrow it down to Western society. There's definitely a focus on self. You know, what can I get?
Yeah, even by you saying that, I didn't even think about like the rest of the world. I thought about my world.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, like if someone's
Like,
listening
right.
in Zimbabwe, it's like, no, we
Yeah.
focus on our family.
And when you said yeah, it's like, oh, in my world, yeah, it's
Yeah.
very much consumer based.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We think about like how everything benefits us. Even
Right.
church, you know, it can make its way into church. You know, what did the preacher preach? You know, were the songs what I liked? What are you going to do for me? And there's an obsession with receiving. And I put it this way in the message. I put like this list of different things that are like our attitudes towards receiving, or a form of receiving. So we receive compliments.
Yeah.
We want to receive a compliment, especially millennials. Like, we really need that affirmation. We really do. Compliments or raises. We want, and I just mentioned that, we want validation
Yeah.
or acceptance.
Right.
Acceptance is huge. We're trying to change language. We're trying to change people's minds, the way that they've thought about biology, the way that they've thought about the world, the way that they've thought about a family unit, and so on and so forth, just so people can feel accepted, they can receive acceptance.
Yeah.
There's this desire for likes or follows, receiving a like, receiving a follow. And then last but not least is gifts or rewards. These are the things that our society is obsessed with, and their lives tend to be centered around these things, receiving something, whether it's validation or acceptance, whether it's social media clout, whatever it is, they want to receive. And yet Christmas comes around every year and reminds us of the importance of giving.
Yeah.
It shows us that it is better to give than to receive. It reminds us that what is truly important in our life, family, giving to others, blessing others. And giving doesn't just apply to gifts and money. Like, in Christmas time, it's easy to narrow it down to gifts, because that's kind of what we focus on. And we could look at finances or money. And then when you talk about giving at church, all of a sudden everyone's mind goes to money, goes to the offering. Why do you want my money, preacher? Why are you talking about this? But giving doesn't apply just to that. It's not just about the finances, and not just about gifts. You can give of yourself.
Yep.
Give of yourself to others. You can give of your time. You can give of your energy. And I mentioned this on Sunday, that in my opinion, it's more valuable to give of your time than it is to actually give of your money. And the reason I said that is because you can always earn more money. Like, I know some of us may struggle to earn money, but there's a possibility to earn more money. You can't earn more time.
Yeah, especially in like in today's society where convenience is everything. We pay extra because we value our time, right? So we already do that. So if you're ready to give your time to someone, that's way more valuable.
Oh,
something you don't get back.
Well, people are surprised now. And I don't know what it's like where you all live, but I know in a place like Sydney, people are surprised if you just give them your time.
Yeah.
If you do something for them that costs you time, going up to POCC, driving up there, every time they're like, "Oh, I cannot believe you drive and you do all this." And it's like, the funny thing is when they mention that, I always come back with, well, I mean, I know a lot of people that drive about an hour and a half for work.
Yeah.
If they're stuck in traffic.
I used to get to work from Long Island to Manhattan, it was 2 hours.
Yeah.
One way, right? So that's a lot of your time.
Yeah, commute's rough, but
Commute is rough, yeah.
But we don't really think, oh, you shouldn't do that.
No.
Like, a lot of people commute an hour or more in big cities for sure.
Right.
And so
from door to door, yeah.
Yeah, it depends on what you put your value on, right?
Right.
And but I want us to think about that. Like, when you're giving to someone, it doesn't have to be just about a monetary gift. It doesn't just have to be about a gift that's been wrapped, but it could be your time.
And also, I think when you give your time and you create a memory, that actually lasts longer. Right?
Oh yeah.
When we talked about how was your Christmas, we didn't actually
I didn't talk about a gift,
right?
No.
We talked about who we spend it with, right? Yeah. Who was able to have that time.
Yeah.
And so that lasts such a long time.
Yeah, that's such a good point. That when you reflect back on your childhood, sure, if someone asks you, hey, was there a gift that, I'll ask you that, was there a gift that you got that stands above them all? Like, what was probably the best gift you got for Christmas? Can you remember?
I got an Xbox, I think.
Bro, same here.
Right? But like, I don't have the Xbox anymore.
No, me neither. But that was probably the best gift. But
I sold it when I realized I can get a better one.
Exactly. And the thing is the point is what you let off with was like, what's your memory of Christmas?
Right.
And you think about people, you think about experience and so on. But then someone has to ask you specifically, what was your favorite gift?
Yeah.
Most people aren't thinking about a gift as their number one memory when it comes to Christmas.
Although those like car commercials, those Mercedes commercials, if I ever got a car, I mean, I will with a big red bow on it.
Oh, yeah.
That'll top anything, right?
Have you seen like the videos? I think they're like memes made off of that.
No.
Because you know, in all those car commercials, not all of them, but most of them, it's a husband buying it for his wife,
Right.
And so he's, the one I saw is like, he bought this for his wife. She looks at him, he's like, oh wow, we can't afford that. You didn't even talk to me. How can you make a purchase this big without talking? And it's like, dude, that's exactly it. That's exactly what my wife would be like. You just spent $40,000. You didn't even talk to me.
Oh yeah, I think I did hear that.
It's so funny. So funny. But
the one where they're like, you just lost your job.
yeah, I think that's the same one. Oh man, so funny. But yeah, the realism behind the meme is hilarious. But when I was talking about time and how we have a finite amount of time, there's this passage in Psalms 90 verse 12. It's the psalmist is talking to the Lord, and he was talking about how like his life is limited, and he asked God, teach us to number our days, that we may present to you a heart of wisdom.
Yeah.
And so thinking about how you're spending your time is important, especially around this time of the year where you might be thinking about how the year went, what happened, what I spend my time on. And I think we've talked about this a number of times, and I think we'll talk about it in a future episode. We're going to be talking a little bit about goal setting. But we waste so much time, and it's like a commodity that we can't earn more of, and yet we waste it like we have limitless time.
Right. And I think when people talk about regret in their life, it always goes back to time. And I think it's because they realize how much time they have left, right?
Yeah.
Or they understand how
little time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either works, how much time they got left, how little time they have left. But there's this recognition of time is finite. And I think a person who is successful is someone who understands that from the jump. Like, gets to a point where they're like, hey, I have limited time. Let's see if we can maximize it. Let's see if we can use it for the best that we can. And so, giving of your time to your family during the season matters. Even if it's frustrating, even if your family is difficult, it matters that you're there, you're present with them, that you're giving yourself to them. Giving your time to someone who is in need, that matters. You may not be able to give them money, but if you can give them time, if you can help them, if you can be with them, the old saying is, presence is a present, right?
Yeah.
Like just being with someone, that matters. And especially nowadays, there's not a lot of people who are willing to just spend time with others. And but I do want you to consider what you're giving your time to, and ask the Lord to help you prioritize your time. Focus on the things that are of most importance in your life. Think about, what you're doing with your time and how you're using it, because it is limited. And, how much would the world change if the attitude of people transitioned from what can I get to what can I give? Instead of thinking about what can I get, we think about what can I give to others. Not how can I be blessed, but rather how could I be a blessing to someone else?
Yeah, and there's so many health benefits to that change, but I mean, we can definitely talk about it on the future end, but that is such a good perspective to have.
Yeah, if you make that slight adjustment, you're still going to be blessed.
Yeah.
But you'll understand that blessing isn't just for you, but it is given to you as an opportunity to bless somebody else, right?
That's right.
I know that this is a little bit radical in 2023, but I love this passage in 1 John chapter 3, verses 17 and 18. It says, whoever has the world's goods and sees his brother in need and closes his heart against him, how does the love of God abide in him? Little children, let us not love with word or with tongue, but in deed and truth. And I guess the 2023 version would be, don't just love with your words, don't just love with your iMessages, don't just love with your Instagram DMs, but show your love through what you actually do.
Yeah.
What what you're actually doing through the gifts that we give to others of our time, of our energy, of our finances. Think about it. Don't just love with word or with tongue, but love in deed and truth.
Yeah.
I think that's so important around this time. And I want to finish with this. This will be the final thing that we talk about here on this episode. But the amazing thing about the story of the birth of Christ is that the greatest gift in that whole story wasn't the gold, it wasn't the frankincense or the myrrh, but the greatest gift was Jesus. He was the greatest gift. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. And Jesus is the greatest gift that we could ever receive. And he was the one that exemplified to us a life that was lived as a gift. He lived his life as a gift to those that were around him. It was a life that was focused on others, the well-being of others, how he could bless them, how he could help them, how he could heal them, how he could serve them. I mentioned this in a Bible study early last week, and we were talking about the crucifixion, and it was a powerful Bible study, and it always is, because anytime we talk about the crucifixion of Christ, we're reminded of what he did for us. But while he was on the cross, he was always concerned about others. He wasn't so much concerned about himself. From the cross, he organized who would be taking care of his mother. He asked God to forgive those who were crucifying him, and he even offered salvation to the thief on the cross. He was always concerned with others. He lived his life as a gift to this world. As Jesus said of himself in John chapter 20, verse 28, he said, "Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life a ransom for many." Not only did Jesus come to serve others, but he gave his very life for the sake of others. So this Christmas, I want to encourage you to follow that example. Christmas is for giving. It's not for receiving. It's not for what the world has made it. But Christmas, from the beginning, was always about giving. God so loved the world that he gave. The wise men gave. The shepherds, they offered their worship, their praise. The angels from heaven, they glorified God. It was all about giving. And so I want to encourage you to think on that this season. How can you give to somebody else? How can you bless someone else? How can you live your life so that it is a gift to this world?